After 6 months of waiting, I have gotten back my PSA order with a bunch of really nice vintage cricket cards. So thought I would go through a reveal with you guys. I'm not gonna lie and say that I didn't already look at the grades. I definitely did. So I have an idea of what these are, but still thought it'd be really fun to go through these one by one and just kind of show what grades I got. So we'll kick it off with a Gary Sobers. This is a super nice copy on the front. So you want to guess the grade? Not a good one. It has some staining on the back. I'm actually not sure what that staining is from. I don't know if it was originally glued in an album or what, but some orange staining there. But you look at the front, and this is one of the nicest copies I've ever seen from the front. But technical grade, I'd say it's probably a 7 on the front and a 1 on the back, so it averages out to a 1.5. But it's not my only Sobers. This is another really nice one. You can see that these are typically not centered very well. I've actually never seen a like well-centered one. This is a pretty typical centering here. This one has a little bit more wear on the corner. Still a really nice copy. And this one is a 3. So that was about what I expected. In general, most of this order came out like in the realm that I expected it in, but this one was definitely the nicest of the 3. I have a copy of this card that is really nice. It's actually my only other copy, and that got a 6. And this one was like in the same realm, maybe not quite as nice, and got a 5. So I was happy with that. I have kind of an embarrassment of riches here. And it's interesting, right? Like maybe the one that looks nicest on the front is the 1.5. But they're all nice copies I'm happy to have in my collection. So Sobers, the greatest all-rounder of all time, the greatest player of all time, obviously Bradman. I have been lucky enough to find some of his rookie cards, and I actually graded more than one, so you will see a run here. This one got a 3. Nice copy. A little bit of corner wear, and maybe a slight very light kind of surface wrinkle on the front. So that got a 3, which was about what I expected. This one, really nice, except it has that little tiny stain there. So also got a 3 on that. And then the nicest of the 3, I'm kind of going in order of which ones I thought were the least nice to the most nice. This one was probably the best copy I've ever gotten. Obviously, there's better ones out there, but I was happy with the 4 here. I really wanted to have a copy of this card in a 4. My only other 2 copies, I got both of those graded were a 2 and a 1.5. So now I've got a 1.5, a 2, a 3, and now a 4, which the 4 was really what I was hunting for. So this one here is super nice. Like you don't find this centered like this. It has a slight stain on the back. And as I was studying it again, it does have like a very slight, maybe surface wrinkle here. But anyway, it looks like the eye peel of this is one of the best ones you'll see. Probably looks like a 4 or a 5, but technical grade got a 2, which was a little disappointing. I was hoping for, somewhere around a 3.5 on that. But this one was very happy to get my 4. So again, both of these cards, was really for a while looking at, hey, should I just buy a 4? But no, I bought some copies that looked pretty nice raw and managed to get the 4s that I was hoping for. So I'll probably stop, searching for a really nice copy of that. If I do see like a brilliant one pop up that might get a 5 or more, I'll go for it. But for now, I'm happy with my 4s. So one of the other greatest batters of all time, Jack Hobbs. This is his first card. I'm pretty sure this is his first card that was ever printed. This is his Wills rookie card from 1907, and this is a pretty nice copy. It's got a little bit of rounded corners, but the surface is really nice. The image is very vibrant. The back is clean. So a 2, it's fair. Could they have given me the extra half point, maybe 2.5? Probably, but in the right realm. It's not like I thought that this card was going to get a 4 or 5. So 2 on that. And then my other copy that I sent in, which is even nicer, that one got a 3. And this one has nice sharp corners. So, very satisfied with the 3 on that. A really hard card to track down, to be honest with you. Like, I look for these wherever I can find them, and they're actually just hard to find. This set, there's kind of like low number cards in this set, and then Hobbs is in the high number, so there's 2 variations of the Hobbs, but this was the one that was issued first. So in the PSA holders, this one will get the 1907, and the other version they have listed as a 1908, which I don't know why, but whatever. This is a really, really awesome set. I've talked about it in the past, but this is the 1907 or 1908, depending on who you ask, Taddy's Cricketers. This is Frank Woolley's earliest card by 3 years, maybe 4. So, was happy to pick this copy up. Pretty nice copy. They only gave me a 2 on it. Maybe a little bit of grubbiness on the front, but, overall a nice example of the Taddies that, got white borders, and there's a lot of areas that can look grubby. So that one doesn't actually look too bad for being, 116 years old. But this is really, to me, the card to have in this set. If you look at sale prices, you'll see the WG Grace is actually like far and away the highest selling card. It's like 700 pounds or something, like close to $1,000. But Grace, when that card came out, he was in his 50s. So to me, I'd prefer to go after Grace cards that are earlier when he was still kind of in his prime, as opposed to being well past his prime. But this is one of Hobbs's very first cards. So PSA calls this a 1907. I think splitting hairs, but 1907, 1908, around the same time as the other card. I think this one's probably a little bit later. But, this is a really nice copy that I was like thrilled to pick up. And I got a 2.5 on that. You can see that there's a little bit of stuff happening on the surface here. So I didn't expect to get more than this. Like, this was actually, I was actually pretty happy with this. I was expecting a 2. I would have actually thought these would have been reversed, like maybe a 2.5 and then a 2, but perfectly happy with the way that turned out. My first and I think only UK auction that I have gone after, actually this is my first of 2. There was a group of really, really excellent condition Taddy's card, and I looked at this in the pictures, which weren't super clear, and I was like, that's by far the best looking Taddy Hobbs I had seen. So I got it in hand, and I was like, it might be even nicer than what I was hoping for. I was like, I don't want to like overestimate what this is, but I think this is like a PSA 5, maybe even a 6, and this was a huge, just awesome. If you look at all the Taddy cards in this era, only, a bunch of the soccer ones have been graded. So there's a bunch of soccer Taddy cards in the same era that go for thousands and thousands of dollars. But a lot of those have been graded, and I want to say there's only been 1 card graded above a 6, and like a handful or less that have made a 6. So really, really pretty amazed to have that in my collection. It might, I don't know, I don't want to say that. It might be one of my favorite cards that I own, definitely in the conversation. This one, George Lohman, maybe top 3-4 bowlers of all time. Definitely the greatest of his era, greatest before Sidney Barnes. Sidney Barnes might be the greatest bowler of all time, but this one was the first copy I got of his rookie card, and really, I think his only card from his playing days. That's why I think this is a pretty special card, because not only is it one of the greatest players of all time, but, maybe his only card. And tragically, he died a few years after this. So this is in 1896. I think he died in 1901. Was expecting a 1, got a 1, but just was happy to get this in my collection. And then, probably 6 months after I got that, I got the opportunity to get a really, really, really nice example of this. So I was thinking this would be a 3.5 or a 4. Got a 3 on it, which is fine. These are tough cards to grade. They are thicker, and they have little, you often see like chipping. I don't know if it's easy to see here, but like that corner's a little chip there. Is it a big deal? I don't think so. I mean, this is 100, man, I gotta do a lot of math today. 127 years old. I think it's a brilliant card. This is definitely the card that people chase in this set, the Grace. Not the greatest copy, but I was actually really happy with the 1.5. I thought this would get a 1. Compared to this, I think what the Grace has going for it, the Grace does not have the wrinkles and the this is more than wrinkles actually, because it goes through the back. So this has creasing that goes through. I think the Lohman also has maybe some more staining, but the Grace is pretty grubby. But yeah, was happy with the 1.5 there, and that was a card I was really hoping to get in my collection for a while. I wasn't too worried about the grade, and was happy to get that one graded and have a 1.5. Ranji, this is his rookie, and this is a really nice copy. I thought that this would actually get a 2.5 was probably what I was expecting. Maybe a 3, but that was really stretching it. So I got a 2 on this. And looking at it in a little bit more detail, you've got some staining up here in the back. And I think that, when you have a little bit of chipping right on the lettering, that's probably going to hurt the grade more than, like, let's say if it was on the back. The back actually has no chipping at all. It's just a little bit unfortunate that wasn't on the back. But really happy to have that card. As you know, I've been collecting all the Hall of Fame rookies. So, I've got the 2 and the 3 here, which I'm really happy about. And then this guy, not in the Hall of Fame, why? You could guess, but this was definitely the nicest card from this set that I've ever had a chance to purchase. And getting a superstar like CB Fry was a no-brainer. So I was really hoping for a 4 or a 5 on this, and was a little disappointed. I would say of all the cards in this order, this was one that I really was like targeting a 4 or 5 on. But 3.5 is still a nice grade. I didn't get a miscut or anything like that or trimmed, so I should be pretty thankful to get that card in such a nice grade. This is a very, very cool card, and one that I was happy to pick up. Definitely the biggest disappointment of this order. When I got it in hand, I didn't think anything of it. It's got slightly rounded corners. The edges look straight to me, and yeah, like I would have never thought, oh, this is a trimmed card. But I have, since I got this back, looked at other copies. I think that the left to right border might be a little thin. So was it trimmed? Was it maybe cut thin? I don't know. But either way, still happy to have the card. It's a really nice example, other than the fact that if it's trimmed, that kind of sucks. But there it is, authentic altered. And I'll take a pause here for a second. I've heard a bunch of people ask, like, why do you get cards graded? And I'm of the take it or leave it. I don't think that you have to get your cards graded. I also don't think it's terrible to do it. This is one really good example where, even though I'm disappointed, I learned something, right? Like, if I was going to sell this card before this, I would have said, like, hey, this is probably a PSA 3. It's a really nice card. And if someone else bought it from me and then they got it graded, they'd be really mad and probably ask for their money back. So it's good that at least I know, and PSA was able to inform me, like, hey, this is not a great grade here. Moving on, speaking of Hall of Fame rookies, Monty Noble, great bowler from Australia, all-rounder. Good too. Was happy with that. It's a little bit kind of diamond cut, just a really cool card. And I think you've probably seen, if you watch Ryan Nolan's channel, breakout cards, or if you've watched this one before, most of these cards will be cut off. So the tabs at the bottom were sent away, redeemed. So you'll get a lot that are cut, right where the top of my finger is. So anytime that you can pick up one that's a full card with a tab, it's a pretty good opportunity. And getting a 2 on Noble's rookie card, I thought was a pretty good opportunity, or pretty good hit. So happy with that. I got 2 copies of this one here. This is Frank Morrell, the captain of the West Indies team, Hall of Famer, great batter, great leader, and you'll see these sometimes cut in half, right? Because that's what a lot of times people would do. This is the full panel, and I got a 3 on that, which I was happy with. That's a nice grade. This one definitely was cleaner. I don't know if you can tell. It's a whiter back, right? Didn't probably see as much oxygen, right, over the years, and this one got a 4. So yeah, definitely cool card, and one that I really enjoy. So sent both of those away and was happy with the results on that. Here's a 1922. Just got his 100-year anniversary of this card last year. You got 2 Hall of Famers. You got Wilf Rhodes, and this is Sutcliffe's first card. So this is his rookie from 1922, and this is a cool one. Again, the full panel, and I got a 2 on that. About what I expected. Can't complain. It is a really sharp looking card, but there's a couple things on it, like little dents that I knew would definitely hurt the grade. So 2 on that. And then I actually sent away, I had bought this one, which is just the half of the panel, right? So it's the same exact card, but someone had cut it a while back. And this is kind of interesting, right? Because I got a 4 on this, but what would you rather have? Would you rather have the full panel that's only good condition, a 2, or a 4, which is a very good excellent of just the cut side of Sutcliffe? I think it's actually a pretty good question. My guess is most people would rather have this, even though it's not in as good a condition. I think this is probably worth a little bit more, but it's actually an interesting question. This one, Ken Barrington's first card from 1955. He has a number of cards from 1956, but this is his first card that I'm aware of. This one, I'll be honest, I thought this was going to get a 6, maybe even a 7. I'm not sure what PSA saw with it. There's probably something there that they kind of latched onto, but this is a good example of one that, like, I would guess if I sent this card back in to either PSA or SGC, there's a good chance I'm going to get a 5 or higher on this. I'm actually not 100% sure what they were seeing, and maybe I just have to study it a little bit more, but I did look at it pretty well before I sent it in. I don't see this as a 3.5. I think this is a really, really good copy, and obviously it's not completely centered, but that wouldn't drop it down that far. You could still get a 6 or maybe even a 7 with that centering. So they must have seen something else pretty significant to drop it down that much. But still a really cool card. Looks great in the slab. Not complaining too much. I've got 2 left here. This is my last cricket card from the order, and then I've got 1 non-cricket. Viv Richards, arguably I'd say one of his top 2 rookie cards, right? So you've got the Bassett here, which is really hard to track down. And then you've also got the Ardmona. For my money, I'm going to go with the Ardmona as being the more iconic and probably the more valuable, but this one is definitely in the running. So these are the 2 best rookies, and I got a 4 on this. About what I expected. This one is actually pretty nicely centered. Nice copy. Got a little bit of a corner ding up here, but happy to have that one in a 4. And then finally, I'll end this with I mentioned earlier about a card that I might crack and resubmit. This was in the first ever order that I submitted to PSA a year and a half ago. So I'm pretty new to the grading game too, guys. Like I haven't been grading cards for like 10 years. But I really thought this was a nice copy. I sent it to PSA hoping to get a good grade. I didn't, and I was pretty disappointed, and I showed it to a lot of people, and I'm like, what's going on? They're like, I don't know, maybe the card wasn't as nice as you thought. But I just like, what? If nothing else, this is going to be an experiment that I want to kind of learn from. So I resubmitted this to PSA, and yeah. That is a really nice card. So I got an 8 on a card that's, 85 plus years old. An iconic Jesse Owens. And it is a very, very nice card. It's very slightly, off center left to right. But otherwise, it's got nice corners, got a great image. But I'm not complaining. But I will tell you that the original grade I got on this was not an 8. I would not have sent it in again if I had gotten an 8. So anyway, that's this full order. I do have some other videos that I would like to make soon. If I get time, I'll make them. I've got some more modern. I want to do a video on some of the Futura samples and the 4-ups, which is like the 4 cards that are still connected to each other. And I also have some more kind of vintage to show off. I've got my Bradman collection that I think it's probably about time that I go through. So I've got a lot of things circling in my head. I've been pretty busy, but I'll try to make some of those videos soon. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.